Shabbat Shalom, everybody. This is Rabbi Shmuel here, Rabbi Stephen, with this week's 10-minute portion, 10-minute Torah, Parashat Tisa. So before we start, I just want to discuss a little bit about what's going on in the world. I know I've discussed it a lot, but it's been going on for 3.5, 4 months since the beginning of October. And naturally, we're all concerned for our brothers and sisters fighting in Israel. And of course, we felt repercussions here in the United States, here at home, and in other parts of the world as well, as the anti-Semitism has resurfaced. We remember after World War II, our grandparents were saying, don't think that it can't happen here because it can, and now it is. Jews have been under attack. Students at college universities fear for their safety. Jewish people who wear visible signs like myself, yarmulkes, seats, whatever, are being attacked in the streets. They're being harassed. We're being bullied. And it's really interesting. I don't really get on my high horse. I don't really get on a soapbox too often. But, for all these people that care about the fate and state of the Palestinians, the innocent Gazans, okay, who's taking the most action? And the answer to that is the Israeli Defense Forces. As we speak now, the IDF has the remainder of Hamas, 1/4 of their army, cornered in Rafah, which is on the south part of Gaza, bordering with Egypt. And they're basically on the run. And you can tell Gaza is getting really panicked about this. They're starting to get really concerned because now they're trying to look at ways for a complete ceasefire. They were talking about hostage releases. And, and little interruption. And they're trying to hide behind people. There are instances where Gazans have gotten shot for trying to get the aid that's been delivered. And what is Israel doing about this? Israel is trying to find a way to get those 1.3 million people to safety so that they can go in and finish the job of eradicating Hamas, who, let us remember, went in completely unprovoked and murdered 1,200 innocent civilians, took hostage over 200 people, many of whom we fear are dead, and the rest of the world is holding us responsible. It's absurd, but this is the way it is. This is what we have to deal with. So what's the best way to deal with it? We just have to be resolute. We have to still be Jews. We have to stick to who we are, absolutely take precautions, but just remember, take pride in who you are. Take pride in the fact that this anti-Semitism is a result of the fact that we see a morality that a lot of people don't. Now I know that's very ethnocentric, and I'm not going to apologize for it. What's the other reason? We don't think the rest of the world the way the rest of the world does. We hold steadfast to our laws. We are waging a war that this world has never seen before. Humane war. It's dragging on because the IDF is being as meticulous as they can to spare civilians. Completely unheard of. Okay, so let's go back to where it began, which is the Exodus. Okay, Moses led our people out of bondage of Egypt. God intervened and drowned the Egyptian special forces that was following them, trying to bring them back to Egypt after all that happened, after the plagues happened, and Pharaoh saw what had happened. God led us to water, thanks to Miriam, of course, woman's touch. God gave us the manna, our carbohydrates, to sustain us, and the meat, keep us going with the protein. God sheltered us. And Moses goes up, he says, I'm going to get the 10 Commandments, and the people say, we will do and we will hear. Absolutely, after what God did for us, you bet we're on board with this. Moses goes up, gets the 10 Commandments, comes back down, presents them to everybody, because the God's voice was just too much for them to hear. They heard the first one, and they said, we can't handle it. You just let us know what God said. We then get other commandments about how to treat the most vulnerable people in society, the vulnerable people that are that are at the lowest socioeconomic rung, the indentured servants. We talk about respecting other people's space, their properties and what they own, and not coveting other people's things, not talebearing, not joining in with others to give a false report, things like that. We get instructions on how to build our tabernacle, our mishkan, our mobile unit that's taken around with everybody and set up when we settle. We have got instructions, not just the mishkan, but also the furniture that's in it, the ark that's going to hold the Ten Commandments, the altar of sacrifice, the altar of incense, the laver, the menorah, the bread, and for the table for the showbread. We get the clothes that the high priest and the priests are going to wear. And here we are, after all this, after how to purify the oil to anoint and light the candles. All of a sudden, Moses is coming back down the mountain. And what is he coming to? He's coming down to an idol, a golden calf. So Moses was up on Mount Sinai for 40 days. People talk about if somebody were to, heaven forbid, drop a Torah, you're obligated to fast for 40 days. And this, of course, is a minor fast. You would fast from sun up to sundown. Doesn't have to be all done all at once, but at least it gives you, an ability to eat before and after. And this is just repenting that you dropped just an absolute sacred scroll. And again, Moses, and why? Because Moses was up on Mount Sinai getting the Ten Commandments. He neither ate or drank for 40 days, miraculously, right? So he comes down after that time, and the people have made a golden calf. Why did they feel the need to make a golden calf? Because he said, I'm going to be gone for 40 days. Then he left, and they didn't realize, or somebody miscalculated, that day one was when he got there, not when he was going up. So for that one day, they freak out. And there's Aaron and Hur. Hur was kind of a relative, I believe. He was married to Miriam. And he's not mentioned again because when the people said, we need a representative, we need somebody to lead us, we need something to lead us. These, of course, and the rabbis say that these were people who instigated it were the ones of the mixed multitude, the Egyptians that used all the confusion to leave Egypt, maybe for a better life or just to get out of there, whatever, and they were idol worshipers. And our people, had that slave mentality. They couldn't think on their own, so they went along with it. And when Hur said, no, this is absurd, the rabbi said they killed him. Now that's not in the Torah, that's a midrash, the folklore that kind of fills in blanks in the Torah. So Aaron, seeing what happened, he's like, wow, these people are about to get violent. I better just appease them. So he comes up with the idea of a golden calf and says tomorrow will be a feast to Hashem, knowing full well that Moses will be back down. And he figured there was no talking sense to him. So this brings up a couple of issues. The fact that Aaron caved. And some people say, well, he was just trying to have some time there. So, so when Moses came down, buy time. So when Moses came down, everybody would see that everything's okay. He saw it becoming a riot. He didn't want anybody else to get hurt. Other people just still question it. Goes, yeah, he should have known better. Who knows? The other thing, and this is something we discussed in our Torah class, is the succession of events. It's not in chronological order. Right? We have Moses going up to Mount Sinai to get the Ten Commandments, delivering the Ten Commandments, other commandments, building the Mishkan, building the furniture, making the clothes, and then all of a sudden we're back to 3 parshas ago. So sages have discussed the idea of time in the Torah for ages. One of the ideas, one of the concepts is that unless you have valid reason to believe otherwise, the Torah is in chronological order. Other people say it's all over the place. Okay, Jethro comes, meets up with Moses, says, wow, I heard what happened. Now I know that God is, that the God that you've been praying to is the only God, and I've accepted Hashem as my God. And what are you doing, adjudicating by yourself, delegate, and then he leaves. And some people say, well, he was there for a year. Yeah, but it says he left, and then Moses goes up and gets the Torah. So why would you think that he was there for another year, right? So all of this is considered. I don't have a specific answer for you. I know that for me, I go along with the fact that, again, I see a whole, I mean, that's what the Torah says, and that's what I accept. Why does it skip around like this? Because maybe it's saying, this was what's going to happen. This was great. And this is what the people kind of messed out. God's sitting there looking at these people saying, I don't think this is going to work out. I see the way they're behaving, or was it a big setup? God knows everything, right? God knows what's going to happen. God gave them a chance. They weren't up to the task. Okay, I let them play it out, and now they've proven that they are not adequate to go in and conquer and settle the land. So something to think about, something to discuss in other venues. Okay, Shabbat Shalom. Hope to see you here. We got some things coming on in March. We have a Shabbat Across America the first week. We have a magic show. We have Purim. So hope to see you at our events. Shabbat Shalom.